This week's episode of Aussie Tech is brought to you by Start New Company. Register your company immediately today with ASIC. ABN, TFN, GST registration is also available directly from the portal. Also set up your family trust and self-managed superannuation fund and more. All at startnewcompany.com.au. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/startnewco and keep an eye out for our regular specials. Start your new company now within 10 minutes of lodgement. All legal company documentation provided after registration. startnewcompany.com.au. And also brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au. All our servers are operating on SSD drives, immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration, and more. Easy install WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and 300 other one-click installations. Generous space and bandwidth, auto backups, WordPress help and maintenance plans are also available on Contact. If your webpage is important for your business or your life, contact us today. Aussie support, secure services, athwebhosting.com.au. And now for the show.
Welcome to episode 698 of the Aussie Tech Cares, recorded on the 15th of October 2020. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and this is my co-host, Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate.
How's it been?
It was great until I woke up this morning.
Oh, you shouldn't do that, man. That's the worst thing you could do.
My phone decided that it didn't want to be part of the living realm anymore.
Well, how long you had that one for?
There's the Note 5. Got them when they come out, so what's that?
30 years.
5 years?
Yep.
4 years, something like that. But
so you're obviously going to get one of the newly announced Apple iPhones that doesn't even come with a charger or any other cable or headphones or anything.
That's the one, because I'm going to have a million cables and chargers laying around for that, being so deeply into the Apple infrastructure that I am. So I looked around, like it died completely. Like it had 85% charge last night when I went to bed. And at like 3 o'clock this morning, it beeped at me. Why are you beeping? And look at it, and it's like 1% charge. I'm like, okay. So I think the battery's completely collapsed. Plug it into charge, and it comes up with the little charging icon for about 5 seconds, and then goes off, and that's it. So
you just pop the back off and take the battery out and put another one in.
Yeah, this is the only model where they decided, hey, you can't do that. This is also
I can't do that with any of my recent phones.
This is also the one where they decided, hey, you don't need an SD card, and you don't need to have HDMI output on your phone either. For some reason, they disabled the HDMI output that's on every other model except this one. And yeah, it doesn't have a micro SD card that's in every other model except this one. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm getting the new, relatively new, the Xiaomi Note 9, which has only been out since like March, so it's a relatively new phone. They're on Kogan at the moment, 128 gig models, 238 or something like that. So
yeah, I got my daughter a Xiaomi Mi 9, I think it was, and she loves it. She was iPhone, got to have iPhone, and then she's like, I'm sick of this. Can we try something else? And we went to JB and Officeworks, and we found it at Officeworks, good price, and she loves it. She's like, I'm never going back to that other crap again.
I was nearly going to get, because there's 3. There's the Note 9, the Note 9C, and the Note 9 Pro. The only difference between the Note 9 and the Note 9C is they're all octa-core, but the Note 9 is the low end. It has 4 2-gig processors and 4 1.8s. Whereas the C and the Pro both have 2.2s and 2 gigs. So they have slightly faster processors, but it's negligible. And the only real difference in the Pro is it has 6 gig of system RAM instead of 4 gig of system RAM. So, but it's $399.
4 is enough for anyone.
And it's 6.15 inch screen on the normal one, and like 6.2 2.5 or something on the Pro. So that's slightly different, but effectively, really, for the extra 100 and whatever it was, $140, $150, I couldn't really justify 2 gig of RAM effectively. That's primarily the only difference. I could have got the C, which would have still given me the 4 gig of RAM, but would have given me the faster processor, and that was like $299, so it was an extra like $60. And I honestly, for what I do,
really,
it's not a thing. I don't game on it. Like if it was my primary device and I was using it as which you can do, use them as a mobile workstation, then I probably would have spent the extra and got the faster one. But as it is, it's already like 4 times faster than the phone I've got. And the phone I've got does everything I want it to do. So, I'm going to have...
It's all backed up to the cloud, of course.
Well, I back it up every fortnight anyway.
I always surprise my local carrier. When I go in there to upgrade to another phone, they're like, okay, we've been through all the sales spiel and everything, so where's your phone? We'll transfer the data across. I'm like, no, you're not. They're like, why not? I said, look, I just did a factory reset. What about your photos and your games and apps and data? It's in the cloud. That's why the cloud exists, to hold all that there. I get my new phone, I go home, put on the Wi-Fi, log in, and then I just wait that it downloads everything.
See, I don't. I back mine up to my server because 95% of the stuff on there I'll never want again. So I just put it on the server to have, and then if I ever want it, I can go get it rather than
so many photos of like a serial number on the back of a monitor or the model of the print cartridges that I get for the printer. And I'm like, why the hell have I still got these?
Or my Wi-Fi password from 7 years ago. So I generally back my phone up I try to back it up every month. In reality, I probably back it up every 3 months, but I only backed it up 2 weeks ago, and there's really not much in there. So if I can't revive it, not a huge deal, because all my contacts and all that will restore because they're all saved on Google, so they will restore by default. There might be a handful of text messages, but there's nothing important there. There might be a couple of weeks worth of pictures, but it's been fairly quiet, so I haven't taken a lot of pictures recently anyway. So the last few weeks, it's not a huge deal if I lose the data. I got a mate who does phone repairs. I'm going to ask him if he can look at it and see if it's recoverable, but I'm not stressed if it's not.
Might be able to use it for a spare.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping I can get it to power back up, because then I've got effectively a disposable video camera that I can use out in the shed and record stuff, and if I happen to drop it or smash it or break it or
stream Twitch.
It's not a big deal, If the battery's stuffed, I don't mind. I'll plug it into an external power pack and just run it off that. That doesn't worry me if I can get it to boot up. But then I've got a cheap camera I can use for whatever, and not have to keep my good one for when I want to do really good quality stuff, like if I'm recording Barb or recording something useful. But if I just want to record a YouTube video, which is only 1080p anyway, then those will do it without a problem at all. So
I tell you what, Striker got me onto, aka Dutchy now. You know the quad lock cases? Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. I've had in my car, because I want it mounted up near the windscreen, and I had a one that's just stuck onto the windscreen, and then after a few months, clomp, fell off. The sticky stuff on the back doesn't work anymore. Throw that one away. I found another one, stuck it on the windscreen. 2 months later, clomp, fell off, and can't put it back on again. But these ones, they feel like super glue onto the windscreen, and when you hop in the car, you just put it in there and go click, and it's locked in, and then damn thing won't come off no matter what happens.
Yeah, I got a magnetic holder. It's like that. It just locks on there, and it's got the case has got 4. There's an old case I pulled apart that's got 4 neodymium magnets in the center of it that run around in the circle, and the plate that it goes onto has got 4 neodymium magnets. Like I've actually had to screw it. I literally had to screw it to the dashboard. Because the 3M double-sided strips that come with, the magnets are that strong that if you pull it instead of sliding it, you'll actually you'll tear, the double-sided tape house got the foam in the middle?
Yeah.
You'll literally tear the foam off down the center of it. So
You're saying it's too good.
It actually is too good. So I've actually, I literally screwed mine to my dash, or actually, I screwed it to my old radio, which I've got to take out at some point because it doesn't work anyway. So it's not a big deal that it's screwed to that. But But I thought the cases are interesting. How they have like you can put it anywhere on it because it's got metal strips on it, so it'll stick regardless. Because if you get a smack bang in the center, it hits with those neodymiums, and that's it. They're not moving.
You know what the funny thing was about my purchase experience, though? I go to their website and they do their pop-up. Hi, would you like to get 5% off whatever you buy here or whatever it was? 5 or 10, I think it was 5%. Type in your email address and we'll send you a code. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to buy it, so I might as well get a bit cheaper. Type an email address, hit send. Okay, what would you like to buy? You go what you want to buy, log in with the same email address, and you still got the code, so you copy the code, paste it in there, and then you go purchase, and it goes, good, you purchased that. Next day, hey, don't forget, you've got this discount code. You should use it on your first purchase. You'll get 3% off, 5% off. And I'm like, I used that yesterday. Why do you not know this? It was your system that I got it from and typed it into. Delete. Next day, hey, your time's running out. You better use your discount code. I'm like, are you serious? And on the third day, it's like, well, that's it. This is the last day you can use the code, so you better use it because it's going to run out tomorrow. And I'm like, I used it 3 days ago. Why don't you know that?
Yeah, I think it's just an automated thing they do regardless.
Oh, it's hilarious.
What's kind of annoying is because I bought the watch, the Fit smartwatch.
Yeah, where is it?
It's on my phone's dead, so I'm not, the phone I'm borrowing, the battery's stuffed in. It's Son's old phone that the battery died in as well. It goes like 100%, 99%, 98, 97, 95, 85, 60, 20, 4, flat. So I'm not bothering installing any apps. I'm just using it for a week
But
until
still
my
record all the stuff on the
watch. Yeah, I wear it during the day, but there's no point.
Right.
Yeah, there's no point having my sleep tracking and stuff on because I can't look at it. But
you can't sleep while you're waiting for that brand new phone.
So, but yeah, I got that, and I got the scales, and I got my dash cam, all Xiaomi stuff, because they had a 10% off using the robot code all last month.
I saw they sent out another code recently for like 5% off.
Yeah, but it didn't. The robot code applied to everything. The one that got out at the moment only applies to some stuff.
Okay.
And we talked about it 3 or 4 times last month. It's like, should I get a new phone? Like, no, it'll be right till Christmas. We'll get one at Christmas. It'll be your Christmas present. So my phone waits until like 3 days after the code expires and goes, hey, guess what? I'm not working anymore.
Christmas came early.
So that was annoying. But yeah.
It's not as bad as not getting your furniture delivered because you don't live in the middle of Brisbane, right?
A friend of mine's actually moving tomorrow. And they couldn't get a furniture removalist because the problem is a lot of people are moving in the state and all the trucks are tied up in quarantine.
Oh.
So there's a million, they're like all the trucks are like fully loaded sitting in quarantine waiting to go to where they have to go. So
could you imagine if you just started moving house before the quarantine happened and your stuff is stuck in trucks for the next 6 months and you move to your new house and you're like, well, here I am. I got nothing.
That's what happened to my nephew. They moved from up north, that way. I've got a complete blank. I can't do it. They moved from there down to Victoria. The first week, everything started to go pear-shaped, and their furniture was supposed to follow them down the next week. Because they had to get down there and actually get into the house and get all ready and get the keys and it wasn't quite ready to move in. So they booked the furniture truck for the following week. And by the time the furniture truck got down there, I think it was like 6 hours later or something, they closed the border. So, they got down there, but the guys in the truck couldn't get back up.
Oh no!
So and they're like, I literally was just there, and then they're in they're in Swan Hill, which is on the river, which is the border, and they're like literally at the bridge, and they can't cross the bridge. They're like, I just want to get over there. So it's screwed everybody up. But
got a couple of surprises today.
Surprise!
Game Invaders. The theory and understanding of computer games and programming interfacing the 6502, both from Shellen 50K.
You and your hard copies.
One. Man, I got so much books now.
Need a bookshelf.
Yeah.
Well, I
Like
got
they're doing another competition just to win a bookshelf.
a bookshelf. I got no books, so
Does Kogan deliver here?
I don't know. Does anybody deliver there?
It's furniture.
I have to say, I have a heap of these diode magazines.
All right.
I've got all of them since I've been a subscriber since issue 1.
Yep.
And I'm actually building a rack for them because there's now, what are we up to, like 50 something?
Yep.
So there's a lot now sitting on the shelf. So I kind of need to.
You need a nice rack. Is that what you're saying?
I'd love a good rack. Nothing like it.
Spice rack, spicy rack.
So there'll be very few people who understand that, and even less people who watch the video to get that. Yeah, so we're coming up close. We're on 698. Got 2 episodes to go to our 700th.
Yep, and don't forget you can send donations to us now as well.
You can, and I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. So you can do it on. There's several ways. Patreon.com.
There's one. There it goes.
Patreon.com/AussieTechHeads is the primary way. There's several different tiers there you can choose from. There's Ko-fi or Coffee, which is ko-fi.com/AussieTechHeads. You can either donate there, and I think you can do a single payment.
Yeah.
They're kind of changing. I noticed I logged on today, and things are changing, so I'm not 100% sure what they're up to at the moment. And of course, there is actually you can actually donate via PayPal too if you don't want to subscribe to anything or give anybody else. You can just do a direct PayPal.
And who have we got?
PayPal
That's
deposit.
a Patreon.
So our
There's one.
patrons, yeah, we've got Kate, Bouncing Yellow Skull, who please don't change your name.
Boing.
Daniel and Amanda. I should put a Bouncing Yellow Skull on top of that. Eh? Daniel and Amanda D.
The bouncing yellow skull reminds me a bit of Cauldron
Yeah.
with the pumpkin.
David Bird and Chris, and one of our PayPal subscribers is
Oh, it says Coffee is donated as a Patreon there.
yeah. I wish it'd be good. Andrew G, who's for some reason didn't update that text, but anyway, I'll fix that for next week. So obviously it helps us out. We're not sponsored in any way, so all that stuff helps us out, and might help Glenn buy a computer that works, and might help. We might have a Christmas party, and might if we get enough call for it, we might be able to hire out a hall and have a get together.
If I can get over the border.
Yeah, well, there's that. Although we'll have new politicians by then, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Oh, you got an election coming up?
Yeah, I don't know when it is, next week or something. I don't keep up with that sort of stuff. But yeah, everyone's probably stupid enough to vote the stupid woman back in anyway. So
What can you do?
yeah. Not much.
Should we do a bit of news then?
No, we've done everything else. I might as well do news.
Following up on speculation from Eric Raymond and ZDNet contributing editor Stephen J. Vaughan Nichols, open source advocate Jack Wallen imagines what would happen if Microsoft just switch over altogether from Windows to a Linux distro named Microsoft Linux. A full-on Linux distribution released by Microsoft would mean less frustration for all involved. Microsoft could shift its development efforts on the Windows 10 desktop to a desktop that would be more stable, dependable, flexible, and proven. Microsoft could select from any number of desktops for its official flavor. No. KDE, Pantheon, X-Force, Mint, Cinnamon, the list goes on.
Mint.
Microsoft could use that desktop as it is or contribute to it and create something that's more in line with what its users are accustomed to. Users would very quickly learn what it's like to work on a desktop computer and not have to deal with the daily frustrations that come with the Windows operating system. Updates are smoother and more trustworthy, it's secure, and the desktop just makes more sense. Microsoft's been doing everything in its power to migrate users from the standard client-based software to cloud and other hosted solutions, and its software cash cows become web-centric and subscription-based. All these Linux users could still work with the Microsoft 365 and any other software as a service solution it has to offer, all from the comfort and security of the Linux operating system. If Microsoft plays its cards right, the company could retheme KDE, or just about any Linux desktop in such a way that it's not all different from Windows 10 interface. Play this outright, and consumers might not even know the difference. A Windows 11 would simply be the next evolution of the Microsoft desktop operating system. Speaking of winning, IT pros would spend less time dealing with viruses, malware, and operating system issues, and more time on keeping the network and servers that powering that network running and secure. Microsoft would be seen as finally shipping an operating system worthy of the consumer. The consumer would have a desktop operating system that didn't deliver as many headaches as it did in moments of actual productivity and joy, and the Linux community would finally dominate the desktop.
Yeah, that's really interesting. When you type in Microsoft Linux,
Yep,
brings up Azure virtual machines.
yeah, because they're running on Linux.
What do you get? You get a free Azure account, and you won't be charged until you choose an upgrade. You get 12 months for free. You get $280 credit, and it's always free. So, yeah, you get Linux virtual machines, 750 hours.
Listed first,
then Windows virtual machines.
Yeah.
Then you can get blob storage. No, I just need to store my blob somewhere.
Yeah.
I just thought
do that
was...
every night when I go to bed.
Yeah,
Store my blob.
I just thought it was funny that was literally the first thing that comes up when you type in Windows Linux. Then it comes up, install the Windows subsystem for Linux.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just funny.
I think that's a good idea, the Microsoft Linux distro. Why not? Then all the gaming platforms would switch over to Linux as well, which means more support for more people, and I think it'd be win-win for everyone.
Well, realistically, all Windows has to do to be Linux is take the GUI out and replace it, because it's based on Linux anyway, so half the work's done for them. All they need to do is take out their FAT32 and their kernels, or their
Last time I took out
Windows
my
kernel.
FAT32, I ended up in jail.
Last time I took out the kernel, and and just put a Linux, instead of running Microsoft Windows, the whole backend's already there. Just change the GUI from a what do they do it from a what is it, Win64 to a whatever it is now?
Linux kernel, yeah.
Yeah, whatever they call theirs.
You could even run Wine for a while just to transition people across.
Yeah, I mean,
once you're finished, you'll get less people whining, right? Right.
There's not a lot now that, and I'll do a story that'll actually break this rule even more. There's a lot of not now that doesn't run under Linux anymore. There was, even up until a couple of years ago, a reason to run Windows instead of Linux, and it's things like mixers and webcams and like doing streaming and stuff really wasn't. I mean, take the games.
That's because blame the vendors who are not writing the drivers or hiding them, like certain graphics card companies.
Or
we won't mention.
Gaming is the other thing, because exactly as you said, some of the graphics drivers and stuff were issues, but that's becoming so much less of an issue now that it's almost I'm trying to think if there's any reason at all now I couldn't switch over. There's actually there's one program, and it's a video editing program I use, and that literally comes down to I could learn something else to edit videos.
Yeah.
But like everything else I use operates perfectly fine under Linux now. So realistically, I could probably swap to. I don't know if my games. Yeah, I think they all do. I think everything I run is Linux compatible. So
a lot of Steam stuff is.
So there's really probably no reason I couldn't switch over to Linux, other than the fact I'm kind of just used to Windows now.
You've got a bit blurry, son.
Yeah, that's the Microsoft webcam driver. See.
Of course it is.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, let's hear about your story.
So yeah, as I was saying, we already know how Windows it likes having verified drivers, especially Windows 7 and 8. If you didn't have a verified driver, you pretty much couldn't install it. They did loosen that grip a little bit for Windows 10. So a lot of it just warned you if it wasn't a verified driver, and a lot of the time you can still install it. But what they've done with yesterday's Patch Tuesday, with the day before's Patch Tuesday, Microsoft has failed to change the way Windows verifies driver software that could spur a rise in driver errors for Windows 10 users. Microsoft details the driver-related error messages users of all supported versions of Windows 10 and server might see installing after the patch. The errors will happen if Windows can't verify the publisher of a driver software or driver lacks a signature. When installing a third-party driver, you might receive the error, can't verify the publisher of this driver. You might also see the error, no signature was present when attempting to view the signature. According to Microsoft, the error occurs when an improperly formatted catalog is identified. Starting with this release, Windows will require the validity of the encoded PSKs, or packages, basically, content in catalogs. And if they can't find it, they'll throw error messages and they'll stop the driver from working.
Well, that's handy.
The hilarious part about it is the Surface Pro X apparently has audio drivers and video drivers that aren't certified. So every
It's gonna
Surface
go down
Pro X is bricked at the moment. So well
Put
done
Linux
there.
on it.
But so basically, that's one of the reasons I was saying I might even have to move over to Linux, because I use uncertified drivers for my audio mix, like you were installing last night. ASIO stuff, which isn't certified. It's fantastic. It's fast. It's low latency. It's brilliant software, and I use it all the time. I have for years, which is primarily why I haven't been using Linux, because up until recently it never supported Linux. Now it supports Linux, and Windows has dropped support for it. So I may have to go to Linux, because if it starts throwing errors about my mixer and my mic and
You didn't want to go to Windows 10 or anything anyway.
yeah, well, I have this new system came with 10, so I've been on 10 for a while, despite my best efforts to not be. At work, I'm still running 7. I haven't bothered with that one. But, yeah, so if this... I mean, admittedly, in my case, I've turned updates off. I haven't since this system was installed, I haven't updated. Because I find it breaks more than it fixes, and this is a classic example of that.
Yep.
So it might be an idea to either roll back and not install this update and then turn updating off. If you've got slightly obscure hardware. The other thing it'll do it is some of these capture cards. If you've got like a lot of these USB capture cards, for example, they're not certified drivers. So if you're using those to capture your games and things like that, well, that one's not. I do have one. I do have a what's the one I've got that is the Razer Synapse one. It's a certified one, but a lot of those cheaper ones, you know, the difference is that Razer Synapse is like a $400 capture card, and this is like a $40 capture card.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, this will do exactly what you want it to do, but not now because you can't use a driver for it. So
I saw another update too that was mentioned in an article briefly that Microsoft was working with HP to stop their battery manager from making the HP batteries start to bulge in the laptops.
well, there's actually a thing for because I've got a HP laptop. There's actually things for those. You can actually install an app that monitors the state of the battery, and if your battery actually fails within 3 years, I think it is, I replace it under warranty.
Highly recommended.
Yeah, so it's not a bad idea. And then it'll tell you if yours is one, like if they get a particular battery from a batch, and they haven't had that batch before, they'll recall that batch, and then the app will pop up and go, hey, your battery's been recalled. So that's actually not a bad thing.
It's handy to know.
Mm.
Huawei Technologies is in talks with Digital China Group and other suitors to sell parts of its Honor smartphone unit in a deal that could fetch up to 25 billion yuan, or 5.2 billion Australian dollars. People with knowledge of the matter said. Embattled Huawei is resetting its priorities in the face of US sanctions and will focus on its higher-end Huawei phones rather than the Honor brand, which is aimed at young people and the budget conscious. The assets to be sold have yet to be finalised, but could include Honor's brand, research and development capabilities, and related supply chain management business. The deal may be an all-cash sale and could end up smaller, worth somewhere between 15 billion yuan and 25 billion yuan. Digital China, the main distributor for Honor phones, has emerged as a front-runner, but other prospective buyers include Chinese electronics maker TCL and rival smartphone maker Xiaomi Corp. The sources declined to be identified. Kyo Ming Chi, the analyst at TF International Securities, has said that any sale by Huawei of the Honor smartphone business would be a win-win situation for the Honor brand, its suppliers, and China's electronics industry. If Honor is independent from Huawei, its purchase of components will no longer be subject to the US ban on Huawei. This will help Honor's smartphone business and the suppliers. The budget phone industry operates on thin margins, and Honor booked less than 5 billion yuan in net profit in revenue of about 70 to 8 billion last year.
So if a different company brands themselves as Huawei, then they can get into the US market. But if Huawei, who is actually them, can't.
Yeah.
But Xiaomi can, and Xiaomi do far more than... Okay. I'm not going to think about that too hard.
Xiaomi good, Huawei bad. Makes you wonder what Huawei did to annoy people so that it said, you're banned.
It makes me wonder how their society's functioning, given that like 90% of everything 4 and 5G is Huawei. So
Yep.
I still don't understand how they're getting around that. Well, they're not, because the funny thing is, I think when they say they're banned, they're literally talking about like their phones, because you see advertised, you still see their
cell towers run on Huawei.
Yeah, you still see their modems, and you see all their stuff still being advertised. So I think it might just literally be their phones you can't use. I don't know.
Because they're spying on you, that's why.
Yeah.
Them Chinese spy people.
Well, I know that Pakistan... I know that was TikTok. Pakistan banned TikTok the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, no more TikTok for you. They didn't say why. They're just like, no, you can't have TikTok anymore.
I just don't like what the kids are doing these days.
And did you see... Okay, I'll see if I can quickly find the story. China secretly opened up their internet.
Ah.
They didn't tell anybody.
So the Great Firewall of China's gone?
Yeah, they literally just... Well, they're trialling it apparently.
Oh.
I'm seeing if I can... I read a story about it the other day, and I'm just trying to see if I can find it again. But they're literally saying that they... There we go. They decided just to turn it off and see how people use the internet without the firewall there.
But didn't tell anybody, so they still go about how they used to.
That's right. Apparently they did it back
We switched it off. It didn't make any difference. This is great. We don't have to block anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... I don't know. But so they started back in May. And... I'm just very quickly trying to speed read the story. But yeah, they started back in May, and they're basically saying that they got sick of people using VPNs all the time, so they wanted to open it up and see if people would legitimately use it. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
John is saying, couldn't routers and switches and things also snoop on things?
Yeah,
yes.
No, like for
no, not them, just phones. It's
yeah.
only a phone thing. Nothing else can snoop. Not those servers that they said they found a tiny little chip hidden in the motherboard somewhere that was sending info back to China.
It can't be like Furbies or anything.
Yeah. Just as long as my Google Assistant isn't sending information to anybody,
they are.
Then there would be trouble.
They are. They've said they have. It's the same as Amazon records
I know, that
it.
was
They
very
said
tongue
it.
in cheek.
I know, and it's like
we hear and see everything. Don't worry about
smart TVs and everything. They're like, it's in their terms of service. It literally says we will spy on you, and people are okay with that. But when they come out and say it, because nobody
don't
reads,
say it.
Nobody
la,
reads.
La 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 la. Not listening.
It's
not listening.
like iTunes for the last forever has had in its terms of service that we will screen capture your usage and we'll screen capture whatever you're doing while ever the app's open. they've said that openly for the last 15, 20 years, however long it's been a thing.
Yeah.
And so whenever you've got iTunes open, it not only monitors what you're doing in iTunes, it monitors everything you do. But people still use iTunes.
No, I don't.
Yeah, well, I don't either, but, you know.
Us sane people use Spotify.
Speaking of Apple, as we touched on earlier in the show, the new iPhone is going to be sensational. It's also going to be cheap. Well, cheaper.
Cheaper than what?
Huawei
or Xiaomi?
No. When I say cheap, I mean they've got cheap. They're no longer including chargers or earphones or... Because they under
battery or a screen.
Right, yeah, you just get the shell. This aluminium milled shell.
That's all you need. Trust us.
But they're under the assumption that everybody's going to have a charger that's capable of the new, the version 3 quick charge, which is, what's that, 70 watts? At peak, something like that. Whereas the original ones are about 20 watts, and then the mid-range ones are about 50 watts, and the new ones are like 70. And unless you've had a new phone in the last 12 or 18 months, you're not going to have a powerful enough charger, because they haven't existed up until 18 months ago.
This doesn't say how many watts.
It'll say amps. It'll have output 5 volt something amp. It'll either be 1 amp, so that's not suitable.
No, this was from an iPod.
Yeah, I was going to say it's an old phone.
It trickle charge, and you'll get there in a couple of days.
Not necessarily. No, on a new phone it won't. It
At all.
It will actually physically say this phone is now entering slow charge mode, and it most likely won't fully charge it because the phone sitting there stationary uses more than that power supply can give it.
Ah.
That's for these older phones, like these older candy bar phones. They took like those 1 amp charges. Mm-hmm. Then once you went into the first round of the smartphone, they went up into 1.5 amp. And then as of like what I've got, the Note 5 and that sort of generation, and these sort of mid-range tablets, they'll use 2 amp, the same as like the Raspberry Pi and stuff like that. They use 2 amp chargers. But the new one...
You prepared everything before. You're just pilling up devices here. Like, I had all of this worked out like 2 hours ago. And one of these and one of those. And, I had this case that, it's got magnets and shit on it, man. It's all just here. I've got a table full of
You should see my table.
I don't know what to do with them, but they're there.
Well, I've got a Pi W there, or I've got the Pi 1 there, or I've got... but my new USB pack comes with a USB 3 charger, so it's actually a 2.5 amp power supply that comes with that. So, that would work. But yeah, they're making the assumption that everybody's got power supplies suitable for these things, and they don't. And it's
an optional extra. You can also buy it for the low price of.
I think they said it was $30 or something for a power pack.
Yeah.
For like $2 power pack.
Yeah.
Which is just stupidly, it's ridiculous. So they're saying, like, even the USB 3 ports that you have, like on any of your USB hubs that are blue, so on the back of your computer or on hubs, blue is USB 3. USB 3, yeah, pretty much. That's about right. My storage system is on my desk. The USB 3 will deliver 2 amps, I believe, but not off your PC. It's limited to 500 milliamps or something because physically the motherboard can't carry that sort of current. But if you've got a powered external hub, you can get a couple of amps out of that, and that will charge most things.
I got one that's got fast charge ports with some lightning drawn on them.
Yeah, I've got that.
But I got that like 10 years ago, so what might have been fast 10 years ago?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I look at the one that I'm using now to run my webcam and stuff, and it's got 7 ports. 5 of them are just 1 amp ports, and 2 of them are fast charge ports at 1.5 amps, which aren't suitable as a fast charge port anymore. So...
And by the way, John, at least he opens the packets and takes his stuff out and uses it. There's
not like
a
Glenn.
running joke with Glenn, who buys lots and lots of stuff and fills up his office drawers. And you're like, didn't you buy it? He's like, oh man, I need to get the thing. And you're like, didn't you buy one of them a year ago? Yeah, it's in the packet.
I was speaking to him a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, oh, so you're saying how I like Windows 7? He goes, oh, I've got a copy of Windows 7 sitting here in a bag if you want. I'm like...
And it was on his desk, and he also has Windows 3.1, 95, XP, NT.
No, it was just coincidence that everything I just had here. It was funny. I'm in the process of cleaning up now. I dumped them all here, so I knew where they were. But
you don't clean up by making more mess.
Why not? It works for me.
It's cleaning up.
Yeah, cleaning up, moving everything from that table to this table.
Yeah, that's tidy.
So and not only are they not including power supplies, they're not even including earphones. Like default earphones you get with devices only last maybe 2 years at a push if you use them regularly. So I mean, I get that most people are going to be using earpods and wireless and Bluetooth stuff, but the older people who are coming through, or just for sake of convenience, a lot of the time, or if you know you're going to be on the phone for an extended period of time, a lot of people use hardwired ones. Although the
ones that you got in the drawer from your Sony Walkman back in 1980 won't plug in.
I was going to say no. They don't have a port on them. They're going to have to go through the USB port through the adapter thing, which means you can't charge your phone or while you're listening to music. But yeah, it's and they're claiming that it's because it's going to save them X amount of money on shipping or freight and storage costs and stuff like that. I mean, really, that somebody showed on an unboxing
I think
the
it
size.
might be profit motive.
Yeah, somebody showed the box on an unboxing the other day, and the box is no smaller. It's the same size it's always been. So they're not
stuff in it.
It's just less stuff. Even the manual now is only like how to turn this phone on and then go to the internet to get the rest of the information. Like it's like a pamphlet. It's not even an instruction manual anymore. So
Brett's new phone's got a 45-watt charger, 9 amps,
which is
at
9
5
amps.
volts.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like a lot of them now are, if you use and some of them like they're a 50-watt charge, so they're 10 amps. And if you use the pads, the key pads for the wireless charging, they can be up to like 75 or 80 watts. The phone only gets 40 of that, but the pad itself can use like 80 watts, which is like 15, 20 amps. So
only do it while your solar energy is charging.
it sounds like a lot, but it's not because it's such a low voltage. But
Depends on how many phones you got charging at the same time. On the key chargers.
Yeah, oh well, yeah. I mean, especially if you've got like tablets and stuff, they really chew the power because they're so large. But yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, that's another reason to not buy an iPhone, I suppose.
Yep. NBN Co and CSIRO have joined forces to better understand and prepare for Australia's evolving digital capability needs through a series of national research projects. The collaboration announced on Tuesday morning is set to combine the network builder's knowledge of broadband traffic patterns with the National Science Agency's analysis and modelling capabilities. The first research project under the partnership seeks to develop a better understanding of the skills, infrastructure and other support structures industries need to increase the adoption of digital technologies. CSIRO's digital arm, Data 61, will perform the initial analysis using aggregated and de-identified NBN broadband traffic data, which, along with other economic, demographic and geographic data, will be used to explore how households and businesses have used digital technologies for work, entertainment and social connections during the coronavirus health crisis. The project will also examine how digital transformation efforts have progressed during the course of the pandemic and the impact of associated social distancing and travel restrictions. The initial analysis will function as baseline for the digital maturity and resilience of different industry sectors, business activities, jobs, and households, and will be used in predictions around their ability to recover in a post-pandemic world. NBN Co said the research may uncover the relative success of industries in adopting digital technologies and adapting to an evolving work environment. It will also provide additional perspectives on productivity during the pandemic. Embracing accelerated digitization of the economy and making the most of benefits of fast and reliable broadband will be crucial as we recover from the impacts of COVID-19. The challenges facing our nation are significant, which is why we must find innovative ways to support Australia's resilience and recovery. By working together with the CRO, we can transform underlying national broadband traffic data into high-value insights to inform how Australia can drive and retain innovation, help ensure our industries are as productive as they can be, and build resilience in our economy.
Or you could take all that money and funnel it into the NBN to make the NBN work properly.
No, don't be silly.
I mean,
the NBN Co isn't there to make the NBN good.
Clearly.
They're there to funnel. Did you see like 800 of their staff were paid $250,000 a year?
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong job.
I know, right? Yeah, but politicians get paid too, so I mean, that's not saying much.
They shouldn't get paid.
No. If they should get pay per good idea they have. So yeah, they'd never get paid.
They'd be starving on the streets.
But yeah, look, I don't understand. I struggle to understand.
For those people that don't know from other countries, the NBN Co. is a national broadband company in Australia that manages the network initially and then outsources everything to everybody else to build over and then resell.
And then still get it wrong.
Yes.
Basically.
And put people on lovely things like fibre to the curb and fibre to the node and fiber to the little house down the road that doesn't support your area, even though it supports the other 50 streets in your area.
And then have a entire housing estate that you've just built in a modern area with all brand new houses and infrastructure, and forget to put internet there, then give everybody 4G but don't put a cell tower in the area.
All that kind of stuff. They're good at that. That's what it's for. 250 grand a year each.
Hard life. So, yeah, I don't understand. I clearly, I'm on a basis that you pay somebody what they're worth, and ain't nobody worth that sort of money.
No.
But speaking of people who aren't worth anything, Yahoo. Ooh, that's below the belt. Yahoo Groups. Every time I hear Yahoo, I can think of is Yahoo Serious in. Is it Mr. Unbreakable or whatever it is, where he goes through the Yahoo sign? Yahoo Groups shut down for good on December 15th, 2020.
All gone. Download your stuff now. You can get an archive of your group.
It's I honestly thought they were already done. Back when Verizon bought them in 2017, I thought they shut groups. Well, I know they announced they were going to shut them down.
They wouldn't let you make any new ones. If you had existing ones, you could keep going for now, but it'd be email only, and you couldn't access it through their web interface they used to have.
Was that?
They're just going to shut off completely.
I thought that was Google Groups. They did the same, didn't they?
Using Yahoo Groups for our VZ emulator mailing list.
Yeah, because didn't Google do the same thing? They went, "Oh, you can't start any more new groups, but the existing ones will stay open for a while."
I don't know about the Google ones. Don't use them.
But yeah, so basically, yeah, if you've got a Google group and you want to hang on to the stuff, apparently you can export the data directly, or you can export it to other groups, or you can do it to a Facebook page or a Reddit page that supports all that sort of stuff. So, apparently, so yeah, I just thought that was interesting. It caught me by surprise because honestly, I didn't realize they were even still going. So I almost failed to.
Well,
think
it was e-groups. It was called e-groups, and then Yahoo bought them out and changed it to Yahoo Groups.
Oh, okay.
Company. And now they're just going to shut it all down.
Yeah.
Poor Brett said he's got fixed wireless to a house 20 kilometres from CBD of capital city. Don't talk to me about NBN.
Yeah, they're good, aren't they? They're on the ball. No doubt about them.
Yeah.
No doubt about them. What else you got
For
there?
you?
Oh, I got more.
I got cars were supposed to be flying by now, but instead we've managed to get something else that will have felt like science fiction a decade ago. Playing Xbox games on your fridge.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Someone has managed to get Microsoft's xCloud service running on a Samsung smart fridge. Instagram user Richard Mallard has managed this feat of modern engineering, sideloading the Android version of the Xbox Game Pass onto his fridge. The app runs in portrait mode on Samsung's smart fridge, but games appear at the correct aspect ratio alongside cheese, beers, and whatever other essentials you store in the fridge. Keeping with the tradition of running Doom games on unusual hardware, Mallard picked Doom Eternal, a modern installment on the series. We've seen Doom running inside Minecraft recently even. Doom Eternal is the first game to arrive on Xbox Game Pass following Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax. While xCloud running on the smart fridge is certainly amusing, it also means that Microsoft's game streaming service is available on a fridge before it's launched on an iPad or an iPhone. Apple has been blocking services like xCloud and Stadia from iOS and iPadOS, but the company did offer an olive branch recently, which means Microsoft and others would be able to package cloud games into separate apps in the App Store. You want to play Doom on your fridge?
It was only a matter of time, really, wasn't it? I mean, you got a PC in your fridge. I mean, if you can play Doom on a birth control, what is it, pregnancy test, you can play Doom on your fridge, surely. It's no, when you first...
The ones you feel sorry for who got the smart fridges like 10 years ago that you can't update, won't connect to anything anymore.
The smart
and it's just
fridges.
A screen that's stuck on your fridge that doesn't display anything now.
When you started talking about that, I thought you were talking about this Xbox fridge.
Oh, that's a nice one.
They
got Monster in there.
Yeah, it's a
appropriate.
Somebody said they took apart the new Xbox, whatever it's called, X or whatever it is, and they discovered that this was what was inside it.
Banana for scale.
So no, that's a miniature fridge. It's like that's all miniature food.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny, but yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised it's taken so long for that. So I saw somebody did tic-tac-toe on them. And when every time someone would go to the fridge, they'd do one, and then somebody else would come to the fridge and they'd do another bit.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty cool. But I saw on Facebook Marketplace the other day, LG smart fridge or Samsung smart fridge, 18 months old, just bought a house, won't fit into the new house, paid like $14,000 or $15,000 for it 18 months ago, will sell for $3,000.
Jeez.
It's like, yeah, that was a good investment. Lucky you spent 10 grand plus on that.
And you know what I saw on Facebook Marketplace recently that could have been tempting is iMac. Purple iMac.
Yeah, I saw that.
$120. The only thing is they said it'll turn on but doesn't boot up properly, but maybe it's something minor, but I've got...
That issues a standard IDE hard drive.
Now I've got Commodore 64, VZ300, plus 2 Amigas. I think I'm hitting my saturation point.
You need to build a shed so you can have a man cave.
Yeah!
That's the next move.
That'd be great. There's enough room out the backyard.
Or to stop using your garage, one or two.
Yeah.
Put a carport up out
I've got
front.
friends who did that. The garage is just full of crap and they have to park outside.
Yep.
Too often.
Coles, did you hear about this?
I've heard about Coles. Yeah, I've been shopping there for like years, man.
Coles blamed for technical glitch for forced shutdown of registers.
Oh.
So this was on like Thursday last week. Coles supermarkets were nationally hit with when the company described it as a technical issue last Friday. The unidentified glitch forced customers to abandon their shopping trolleys, and supermarket giant was unable to process any transactions at the checkout. Coles Express and Coles liquor stores, however, remained open for trade. The retailer later took to Twitter to confirm the glitch and resolved the stores had reopened. Basically, they were shut for a couple of hours, and I went in to get some gift cards. Actually, ironically, we're going a special at work. You buy something, you get a gift card. So I went in there to get a gift card, and I couldn't. Yeah, they literally had to shut the doors. Like, it's so weird that, I think it started at like 2:00 in the afternoon, and they reopened at 5 or 6. So they lost a lot of trade.
We had something like that happen at our Coles, and somebody from Woolies up the road came down who worked there and had a big sign. They walking out the front of Coles, come up to Woolies. We got air conditioning, we got lights, we got power, everything. And they had to get all their stuff to kick them off the property.
But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of loss of trade, but it's interesting that it was actually their point of sale. It wasn't their FPOS. Normally, FPOS is the thing that goes down. But
they're always slow.
Their entire point of sale system just collapsed, and you can't do anything with it. You can't even pay cash because obviously you can't ring the item up in the first place. So,
jeez. I
don't know how much it cost them, but it will cost them a fair bit. I'm pretty sure.
So you're saying it really was a POS?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. That it's good to see that even major retailers have issues like that, and we have them at work all the time. But the good thing about being a small business is if it happens, we can just do manual overrides and everything and be done with it.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal.
You got a clickety clacker?
No, they're illegal now.
What?
Yeah, the manual hard card readers. They're illegal. Yeah.
Oh.
It's illegal.
So if your card reader goes down, you're just like, well, everything's free, guys.
If you can't do if you can't do manual entry, you tell them to go over the road to the ATM and get cash out.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not allowed to store any unencrypted credit card information.
Oh.
So you can't. Like, we have.
Everyone used to have those pieces of carbon paper in between. They throw them in the bin, and somebody can fish it out and go, I got all the credit card details.
That's right. But yeah, getting back to that Coles thing, they tried to do. I think the Coles Liquorland thing decided that, hey, we're going to offer like triple flybys or something for the next week or whatever it was, and then the Coles stores had like free delivery, but you had to prove that you were there when the thing didn't work, which you can't because you were there when the thing didn't work, and there's no proof you were there. So
that must be why when I decided to use Coles delivery last week and I couldn't get a delivery spot because as soon as I logged on, they're like,
probably why.
Here's a list of the available delivery times. These two are grayed out, so you can't use them. I clicked on this one. No, that's gone. Next, gone. And there was like 20 of them, and I was like, well, I guess I'm just not going to get it from there. So I went to Woolies.
Probably when it happened, everything collapsed. Well, it's funny you should mention that because Woolworths speeds up online grocery orders with automated fulfillment technology.
There you go.
The technology is expected to help dispatch 5 times the online order volume of standard Woolworths sites. It's deployed its first micro-automation technology in the e-commerce facility located at the back of its existing Melbourne-based Carrum supermarket. So basically, they're turning into Amazon.
Pick up your stuff and just walk out, and it goes ka-ching.
Basically,
like
they got
Woolies go.
their own fulfillment center, basically. Which, I mean, is not that unusual for like a lot of American supermarkets and a lot of other countries have had this sort of thing, but it's new for us. I mean, well, then again, we've only had home delivery for 12 months, so I mean, it's...
And yet we've had chip and pin more sooner than everybody else in the world, practically.
I know, right? Go figure. But apparently they're starting 3 trial sites. Carrum Downs is the first one. The other 2 sites, one will be in Auckland and Christchurch. And then, because that's how scale works, one does all of Australia and 2 do New Zealand. That's yep, that sounds about right. So that's going to work flawlessly.
Great idea.
But yeah, obviously, because online orders are going nuts at the moment, so they had to do something. But they reckon they're investing about $800 million to make it happen. So they contributed to the company's total group sales of $64 billion, which grew 8% in the last financial year, which is not surprising. They're on total group online sales, so their entire company grew by 8%, so which is $60 million. The online sales portion grew by 42% to $3.5 billion. So it nearly doubled. So, yeah, they're definitely going nuts online. Not that I don't use them. I only use real shops, but it's interesting as someone like, I mean, I guess they're not the first to do it because Kogan and Amazon, they have fulfillment centers, I guess, but they're the first, I guess, what you would call a retailer to do it, which is surprising. I would honestly have expected like Harvey Norman or JB or someone to be on that first, but not apparently. You got any more?
That's it for me.
One more quick one. This is just a
quickie.
Nothing like having one last quickie. Austrac gives Afterpay an all clear following an anti-money laundering investigation.
See.
So basically, Afterpay, which depending on which story you read, also included ZipPay and a few of the others as well. But basically, the Australian Transaction Reports and Analysis Centre, or Austrac, announced on Wednesday it has concluded the investigation into Afterpay, having decided it will not pursue any further regulatory action. They offered an independent auditor for Afterpay Australia's operations, basically saying that they'd failed to comply with the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act.
And they said, no, that's fine, don't worry about it.
It came about basically, same as ZipPay was in this as well, and a couple of the online instant loan people, basically because you literally just needed to provide like 2 pay slips and a driver's license.
Yep. And
that was to get like a loan, but like ZipPay and Afterpay, you didn't even need to do that. All you had to do was link your bank account to it, and that was it. You could apply and get like $2,000 credit straight up. So they're basically saying, well, look, you didn't do enough to confirm that these people aren't using it to buy bombs and stuff. So,
know your customer.
Yeah, but then they went, well, hang on, if that's the case, then you've got to ping PayPal, you've got to ping, all these other ones because they're doing exactly the same thing. And I think in the end of this one, whatever.
Too much trouble. So,
because apparently they're saying that Westpac, the follow-up to the Westpac one, last month they reached an agreement that Westpac was to settle their anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing allegations that were raised were proven to be true. And should the federal court accept the penalty, the bank will be forced to pay $13 billion for breaching the rule.
How much do they make a month?
They breached it over 23 million times, apparently. But the the dumbasses at Westpac admitted to it, which included failing to report international fund transfer for... I love this one. It failed to include international funds transfers of values more than $11 billion.
Whoops.
So
Okay,
every
sometimes you just forget these things. It was a Friday afternoon. They're ready to go on a holiday.
But it's not the bank transferring $11 million. That's some dude in Australia transferring $11 billion to some company overseas multiple times. The fact that $11 billion is if you transferred $10,999,000,000, you'd be okay. But you transfer $11 billion and you're screwed.
That's it. He stuffed himself, didn't he?
Who decided that was the figure they're going to use?
He should have known better.
It's like when they say, if we see they bought the whole cash reporting thing, and now if somebody pays more than $2,000 cash, you're supposed to report them. You're supposed to report and document it.
Does that include the casino?
Yeah, anything. If somebody hands more than $2,000 in cash, you're supposed to report it.
You ever been to Sydney's casino or the
Crown
people
Casino
walking around with huge wadges of cash like this?
Yeah, or the Crown Casino, same thing.
Yeah.
But that applies to everybody. Like at work, we're supposed to do it. You get a farmer comes in and buys $20,000 worth of batteries for their solar system because their system died that morning. They literally dig under their mattress, pull out 20 grand, come in, buy batteries, and go back and install the batteries. Like, it's not. So we're not going to bother reporting it. We know exactly where it's come from. It's come from the farmer who needs the stuff he's just bought. Yeah, it's supposed to stop money laundering, but it doesn't, because the people who are laundering money aren't going to come in and buy a product worth the money they've just given you. They're going to go to a pokie machine, put in $10,000 with an acceptable 25% loss, and pull out $7,500. They put in 10 grand, pull out $7,500. Because there's a 70. Actually, no, it's more than that. In Queensland, pokies actually have to pay at 85%. So if you want to money launder through pokies, you can expect a 15% loss is the maximum you're going to get for money laundering through pokies.
Those 50 guys who come in here with a lot of money and put through our machines every Monday at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Fine.
Exactly. And I mean, having worked in the gaming rooms, I can guarantee that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
You get people come in, the dinner rush on a Saturday night, everybody's left by 9. At 9:05, 14 people walk in. The same 14 walk in every week. The same 14 walk in with $10,000, the same amount of money every week. They put it through the pokies. They run until they've hit their 85% quota, and they go home. Yep. It's mechanical clockwork every week. It's exactly. They play the same machine. They play the same. You put
doesn't sound dodgy at all.
No, you put your $20 note. $20 notes in until you hit your $100 limit. You play your 25 by 10 credits. You run it down in about 10 presses. You put your money in again, and because it pays out 85%, they know they're going to lose. They put their $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, however much they put through it. They know that they're going to receive 85% of that back, which is perfectly acceptable when the money's been gathered by mischievous means anyway.
That was very tactful of you.
15% is not a big deal at the end of it all to have clean money. So, this whole reporting cash thing is...
You don't think the venue's going to be, no, we don't want you coming in here giving us 15% of your money every single week. That's a terrible idea.
Well, yeah, that's it. Well, actually, the venue doesn't get that. The venue ends up, after all taxes and government payments and everything, the venue ends up with about 3% of pokie revenue.
Mostly goes to tax.
Pretty much all goes into the government, yeah.
So they wouldn't want it then.
No, they're definitely going to crack down on that, so it doesn't
That's why
happen.
they shut down all the pokies in the restaurants and taverns and what have you.
So, it was funny because New South Wales, up until very recently, wouldn't allow pokies in the same venue as where meals are served. So, if you served a counter meal in a pub, you couldn't have pokies in that pub. You could serve counter meals outside in the beer garden, but you couldn't serve them inside and have pokies inside.
That's why they got beer gardens.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Now it all makes sense.
But then they finally got rid of that, and then they've changed that. But like up here recently, they introduced it that you can't actively advertise pokies specifically. Like you can have a sign up saying gaming, pokies, TAB, like to inform people what there is, but you can't specifically say we have this one. So you can't attract people to their favourite pokie machine. You can't have pokies accessible in the same room as a bar. So you'll notice all pokie rooms now have got a screen or a bit of mesh up between the pokie machines and the bar, because technically it's a separate room.
That fixes it.
And you can't see an ATM from the pokie room.
Yeah, they put it on the other side of the building out in the hallway.
Or they'll literally put it around the corner.
I wondered why that was. So, I went when I was on holidays last time, and I was like, I need to get some money out. Can you show me where that is? They're like, we have to walk you around the other side of the building outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait,
you can't, you're not allowed to see the Well, there's two things. You're not allowed to see the ATM from the pokie room, so it can't be in a line of sight. And you're not allowed to see the pokie room from the entrance to the premises.
Oh.
So once again, you see these bamboo screens up to stop. But some of the rules they come up with are just like absolutely ridiculous. I'll tell you what. It's so bizarre.
Brett's got another story for you.
Yeah, he's just saying that he lived in New South Wales and had a baby in a pram. And what? Yeah, they had to move because that's right. Yeah, because it was a
the baby was in the giggling area by 1 inch.
Yeah, that's right. You can't have a minor even under parental supervision. You can't have a minor in the gaming room.
Yep.
So you see, it was funny at the Nala Hotel, the layout they had like two pokies, and then they had like this dividing wall, which was a bit of bamboo, but they used to put the prams on that side of the wall, and they'd sit there rocking the pram on that side of the wall, and they're playing the pokies on this side. Reach through.
That'll stop the babies gambling away all their money.
So stupid. You can tell the people who write the rules never actually do anything in relation to the rules. Like the person who wrote those rules probably never set foot in a pub or a club in their entire life.
Smoke and mirrors, son.
So it's dumb. But that's why when a pub sells like a pokie machine, there's only in Queensland, there's a limited number of pokie licenses at any one time in the state. So you can't purchase new licenses once they hit a certain amount, regardless of how big your venue is. And a lot of venues have downsized their pokies, but they're hanging on to their old licenses. So they might have 50 licenses, but only 20 pokies. But what that means is if they ever sell, and licenses can go for $100,000 each. So they might have this little pokey pub in the middle of nowhere that makes absolutely no revenue, but the place is valued at $25 million because they're hanging on to 100 pokey tickets, even though they've only got 3 pokies in the room. Because that's where all the money is. I wonder if that's
why in our town the golf club and the RSL club merged together. So
they might have amalgamated their licenses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's such
things start to make sense.
Such a fickle industry, I tell you. But anyway.
Sounds like madness, yet there's method in it.
Not a lot.
Not much. Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads Show broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Also now at patreon.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Sign up for $4 a month, $10 a month, or from several other tiers. See the site for details, and coffee.com, ko-fi.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Make a one-off donation of any size. Email us, glenn@aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com, 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. New shows are added each Friday. See you next time.
Bye.